I figured since I covered how excited I am for the Dawn FM that's going to be dropping this Friday, I might as well cover the other project that's supposed to drop, which is, I didn't know this was actually the title, but it's Drip Season 4, or Drip Season Forever, which is actually an honestly cool title. And I haven't really got deep into Gunna. Actually, what gravitated me towards Gunna was actually Wanna. And I like that project. I like the certain tracks off of it. I like the wavy atmosphere that it brought. And it wasn't overtly long that you kind of see in a typical trap album. And the reason why I'm kind of making this video is that I'm kind of concerned, or I'm kind of expecting either a bad or kind of more or less like a mid kind of album from this. And unfortunately, it's the fault of just the typical trap proceedings that we have seen over the past couple of years. And just looking at the track listing here, I have it right in front of me. It is 20 tracks long. And I know Too Easy release. I actually haven't listened to that yet. And there's a couple other tracks. And I did hear a couple of snippets. And I heard Pussy Power. And I have a whole different discussion on that I'm going to get into. And then I also heard Pushing P, which is a very nice sample. It sounded a lot more menacing than what I would typically hear from a Gunna project. I did listen to little bits of Drip Season 3, and while it wasn't really my vibe, I can understand why people do enjoy that project. But the reason why I wanted to cover this is that I'm not really all that excited for this. And I know a lot of people are, but my reasons why I just wanted to kind of put that into a video format. And of course, the obvious one that I have covered a couple times, and I don't want to sound like some kind of like hip-hop boomer or some kind of person that just is a very cynical person, even though a lot of my videos are a lot more negative in tone. I'm really not that kind of person. It's just the culture in hip-hop and trap that it's not really doing anything for me at this point that it didn't do in 2015, going on into a couple years after that. 2015 was a pivotal year for me when it came to music, and I've just noticed an incredible decline. The 20 tracks, the wavy atmosphere that Gunna has, I don't know if it really meshes well on a 20-track album listing. It just seems overtly long. I don't know how it's going to be carried to keep it interesting the whole way through, especially with Gunna, because he kind of does like blend in with the instrumental, and while that can be seen as a good thing, and it can really work on some tracks, I find on a 20-track album, I feel like it's going to really have a detriment on the album, and I feel like it's just gonna cause this kind of boring kind of background noise atmosphere that honestly we've been getting for a little while. Also, what I wanted to cover as well is the amount of features that this album has. So you have Future, Young Thug, you have 21 Savage, you have Drake, you have Young Thug a couple times, Kodak, Chloe, Lil Baby, Future also a couple times, G Herbo, who's been popping off, and that's really cool. But every single track, not every single one obviously, but most of the tracks off this album do carry a feature alongside of it, which if you look at it on both sides of the coin, it's going to keep the tracks interesting because you're going to have a new voice entering the fold every single track that you get into the album. There is about, I would guess, if I'm going to take a look at this really quick, I would guess there's probably at most maybe 6, maybe 7 tracks that are solo Gunna tracks, which are going to be interesting to see how he carries just the solo tracks by themselves. But if you look at both sides of the coin, if you look at both sides of the coin, it could be a nice way to diversify the album with different features. But it could also be the detriment of Gunna himself, where Gunna becomes the weakest part of the album. And judging by how many features are on this album, I feel like that is going to be the case, unfortunately. Which is a sad thing, because I think Gunna does have a lane, he does have a great voice, and I believe he does have a really interesting kind of original kind of quality to him. And I remember back in a couple of years ago where people called like Gunna and Lil Baby just Young Thug clones. I think that was a little bit overblown at the time, and I think he has a diversified sound where he does sound more original. I just think that with all of these features just stacked on top of each other, I don't know if Gunna's going to find that peak or find that kind of peaking moment where he's able to come out and actually become a standout portion of the track besides the solo tracks that we've seen. And I wanted to talk about the cover for a second. I'm not the hugest fan of the cover, if I'm going to be brutally honest. And it's not because it's a terrible cover. It's honestly not a bad cover at all. I just think that it's just kind of boring. I'm not a huge fan of like CGI covers. And I don't want to sound like I'm overtly shitting all over this album, but I just don't have the greatest feeling about it, if I'm going to be brutally honest. And seeing as we're getting like such an incredible album coming out this week, even though I'm putting that prediction out there, I think it's at least going to be great. I just don't have the greatest expectations for this album. I'm just going to preface that out there. And one last little discussion I wanted to have with this project is the Pussy Power track with Drake. And I have heard the sample. I heard little snippets of it online. And this brings up the question, is meme rap going to be a thing? And does this is going to sound so strange, and this may be the most boomer take that I have on this discussion, but is Way Too Sexy going to be the catalyst of meme trap? Is it actually going to be more iconic than we really think it is? Is Drake's kind of lowest moment going to start a trend of meme trap where you have these kind of weird qualities of a track, whether it's the instrumental, which we did see on Way Too Sexy when you had the Right Said Fred sample? Are we going to have these really odd kind of performances? Are we going to have these kind of more, I guess, more trying to cater towards TikTok? And we've seen this before. I can actually think of another Drake example when Tootsie Slide came out. And I still actually kind of enjoy that track. And while it was definitely a ploy to definitely apply to the TikTok audience, it wasn't that overt, I guess, or it wasn't to the point where the music didn't really suffer terribly. It's not a great track, but it's a decent track. But I feel like this is actually going to become a trend, and whether it comes around to being really funny or really entertaining, or it could come to a point where trap is seen as a really marketable genre at this point, and people take advantage of kind of the meme trap kind of atmosphere and just throw out these terrible tracks or throwing things at the wall that they know are not going to stick, but they know that they're just going to be hilarious and they're going to fit well on a reel on TikTok. It's an interesting thing that we're going to see develop, and I'm not going to say that, well, I have said a couple of times that the death of trap is coming. This could be the catalyst of that, and I'm going to be very cautious of it as we go on into the years of 2020, because I do think this is going to be more prevalent as we go along. And if you haven't heard the snippet of Pussy Power, it is, Gunna sounding is actually pretty decent on it. The bass sounds pretty good, and the flow of the track sounds all right, but there is literally, I believe, in the sample of the track, it's literally just a woman moaning the whole time through. And that is going to be a very interesting moment for a lot of reactors on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And it's definitely going to evoke a reaction. I just don't know if we're going to see a positive effect in this in the coming years. But that's just me being a tinfoil hat, or maybe it's just me being a downer, as I always am. But I just wanted to talk about Gunna's Drip Season 4. I am going to listen to it. Of course, there is more priorities. There is a more important priorities on that Friday, of course, if you know what I'm talking about. But I am still very curious of this release. I am curious to see how this year is going to pan out. We are getting two really highly established artists dropping in a very obscure month where a lot of the time it's a lot of downtime. There's not a lot of releases coming out, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this pans out. But this is Sonic Spill. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the reception on the weekend video. It's only been a day or so, and it's already got to, I haven't checked, but it's probably about like 450 views at this point. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really contributes to the channel. I really do want to be a YouTuber, honestly. It's really fun just to have great discussions. And I hope you all have a great day, or whenever you're watching this. And God bless. Thank you for watching.